Welcome back to the Code Cricket Show. We're outside Adelaide Oval after the end of day 2 of the third test, and Australia remains in absolute control of this match. England 8 for 213, still trailing by 158 runs. And Ben, I think I declared it last week, I'm going to declare it again. Bazball is dead. We will get to the various SNCO, DRS, umpiring related controversies shortly. But the crux of the matter is that England is batting at a little bit over 3 runs and over. They are batting on what was a featherbed pitch today, a very hard pitch for bowling, and yet Australia didn't make it look hard for bowling. They were outstanding, and they've got England pretty much on the brink of utter annihilation here in this series.
Absolutely, Dan. Yeah, you'd be letting England off the hook, I think, if you, if you put too much credence to the DRS dramas. As confusing as it all was today, the bottom line is England, were capitulating anyway. I mean, I just don't think any other set of circumstances. I think they've lost trust in their system. I was keen to ask you whether you felt that there was a marked difference in how they batted today. Like, did the Bazball system almost get put on hold today? For Ben Stokes was certainly going slow.
Well, Stokes has just sort of moved completely away from that. Stokes seemingly has just the two extremes. He goes at, I mean, people talk about he works through the gears. He just goes from gear 1 to gear 5. At the moment, it's really just that first gear. And there was a stat at a certain point today, I think it remains in place, certainly it's thereabouts, that I think there have been 100 innings from England batters, 91 innings from England batters in the Bazball era in which someone has faced 100 or more balls. And Ben Stokes has the 3 slowest, and 2 of those 3 are his innings in Brisbane and his 45 not out today. Now, I have huge admiration for Ben Stokes on many fronts, and I think the way he batted today was very sensible. It was a pretty easy wicket for batting. Yeah. Probably not quite as easy as it might have been made out to be, but still relatively benign, as the stats would suggest. And the idea here, the best way for England to win this match was to grind Australia into the ground. But ultimately, I think Australia just had too much class. I thought there were a few dismissals were poor, but I think overall they were actually undone by just too good bowling. And what did you think?
I mean, to be honest, I thought the most telling moment of the day was actually before England came into bat, and it was Ben Stokes and Jofra Archer having a confrontation out in the middle. It was just before and just after Jofra Archer got Mitchell Starc's wicket, and there was a lot of gesturing and angry looks, and then some very heated words. It looked like once Jofra did eventually get Starc from bowling at the stumps, which I presume is what Stokes was telling him to do. But I thought that fraying sort of tensions between those two key players, it wasn't a surprise then that the batting failed, because I just don't know whether the England team had got enough cohesive fight left in them. Certainly Stokes does. What a leader. But, I think it was gone. I think it's been gone since Brisbane, to be honest.
No, Archer with that 5-wicket haul, and he was still batting there and made some useful late runs, but they probably needed to wrap. Well, they definitely really needed to wrap up Australia earlier than they did. Let them put on 45 this morning, and this game just got away, not to the same extent that it did from them in Brisbane on the third day, but in a similar sort of vein. Yeah. Look, it was funny, but the big talking point. There's one word to take out of this match. It is SNCO. That's been the big talking point. Ben, can you talk us through? I mean, we were talking about it last night and again today.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, obviously, still the big controversy was yesterday with Alex Carey, but there was a series of confusing dismissals, I think it would be best put today, where, I don't think it was helped by the 2 umpires on the field, who I think just lost all confidence in what they were doing. And then that added to the players sort of going, what's going on? And then, the input of the technology. Honestly, there was 3 dismissals today where I still don't know whether they were out or not, Jamie Smith was involved in 2 of them. One, he got given the benefit of the doubt, and the other he didn't, and he was gone. And, when you have a situation where both teams are angry about the outcome, you've got a problem. And, it's been a very unfortunate test for officiating all round, and if it was a live series and England had put up a bit more fight than what they did today, it would be an even bigger issue.
Yeah, you're right. Umpires Nitin Menon from India, Raza from Pakistan, Chris Gaffney, the third umpire from New Zealand, all round as a collective just don't seem to have a lot of cohesion there. Clearly the players have lost complete faith in SNCO technology. We heard Mitchell Starc suggest as much on the stump mic, and he clearly knew what he was doing. You're talking to stump mic, giving that sort of missive, I suppose, for want of a better term.
be sacked.
And that people will talk about, the various providers that are used by the different broadcasters, but ultimately it should, as you well so we've written for Code Sports, it shouldn't be about the broadcasters. It should be the ICC. The ICC should be investing in this and make uniformity. You've got a World Test Championship here, which is notionally supposed to be an even playing field, and you're going to be using different providers, and no wonder it's hard for the umpires. I mean, how can they have any faith in the technology when they don't know which technology they're using from game to game necessarily? That was that. Look, we also should not at all ignore what was an outstanding performance from Australia in what were genuinely oppressive bowling conditions. Not a particularly helpful wicket, but more to the point, just bloody hot. I was walking her out and about. And Nathan Lyon and Pat Cummins both made sterling comebacks, different obviously reasons that they were out of the side for the last test, but both returned with a vengeance. Yeah,
41 degrees I think was the official top today, and I think ground temperature or feels like temperature or whatever they might call it up around 47.
Certainly, according to a Cricket Australia spokesman.
And it was it was oppressive. It really was, and I think Pat Cummins was the most incredible performer today, because he, coming off no match play bowling at all, to do what he did in this match, I think was quite extraordinary, really. There was doubt in his own mind, let alone everyone else's, about him playing any part in this series. And, the fact that he bowled more overs today than Mitchell Starc and Scott Boland, I think some people probably thought that the other bowlers would have to shepherd Cummins through if the overs got high today, but it just didn't happen. Cummins was leading from the front and just did not miss a beat.
I think it's really vindicated all their selection choices through the series. The fact that they were clearly very, very close to picking Pat Cummins in Brisbane didn't, or Nathan Lyon. We saw Michael Neser bowl so well, and he was effectively the one that got the nod over both of those guys. Takes a fifer, gets dropped for this test in unfortunate circumstances, and yet Pat Cummins and Nathan Lyon come in and do so well. So, and maybe that shows that England ultimately aren't up to it, regardless of who's bowling for Australia. And Australia's just got this incredible depth, which it does. That ball from Pat Cummins to get Zach Crawley was exceptional. But I do want to touch on Nathan Lyon, because he not only did he pick up a couple of wickets, that moved him past Glenn McGrath to be 564. When he'd been stuck on 562 for 3 consecutive tests for Australia, 2 of which he didn't play, and 1 which he only bowled 2 overs. And there was just a little bit of doubt about the marginalisation of Nathan Lyon, not really through his own fault, just because of the conditions and the way that Test cricket had been moving. But today was a day, and he sort of touched on it in his post-play press conference, that this was a day of old-fashioned Test cricket where you needed a spinner, and he did his job to perfection. Outstanding. And Kerry O'Keefe, the former Australian leg spinner and fan favourite commentator, he is just leaving the door ajar for Lyon to potentially get to 708 and reach Shane Warne. It's still a long way to go, but you did never quite know that the GOAT has defied a lot of people along the journey, and you wouldn't put anything past him. He's been a remarkable player for Australia.
Absolutely, yeah.
Anyway, we'll be back tomorrow. I don't think it'll quite be finished tomorrow, but you never know the way these matches go these days. But thanks again for joining us.